we have the talk. I don't know if you guys have ever had to tell your kids about the talk about, dude, when you can't go jogging at night, 10 o'clock at night, even here in New York City. Dude, you can't be in the car with your hoodie on driving around at night. That ain't going to work. Don't do it. Put your hand, if you get pulled over, hands on the wheel, if you can get your wallet, ask for permission to put the wallet up. I mean, you've all seen the drill. That is almost like, morning prayers in some black households. Don't forget, this is how you got to comport yourself. And the life you save will be your own. That's a hell of a way to live, man.
Well, for me, I'm the youngest of 6. That's 50 plus years ago that they started to deliver that message to me. And I'll be doggone, here I am, 50 plus years ago, and I've got to deliver that same message to my own children, so that they understand what they need to do so that I feel compelled so I can keep them alive. And that's what's so alarming about what has transpired or what has been transpired. The only light that I see is the fact that the George Floyd murder was so vivid. It was so in your face, broad daylight, people standing around recording that everybody saw it. So now all of a sudden it's just not black folks saying, oh, they crying again about this stuff happening, ain't really happening. You absolutely witnessed it. You witnessed it with the young man being gunned down, jogging in his neighborhood in broad daylight. So all of a sudden these things started to resonate with the good people. And for so oftentimes the good people remained silent. They're not remaining silent now. Yeah, they've been compelled and they've been moved to activate this passion that was already innately in them. Because I just believe that we all know right from wrong. We really do.
I mean, even here in New York City, which I absolutely love, walk in the building. I've been in this building probably longer than anybody. I haven't seen it as much lately, but women double clutch their bags. Hey, honey, I'm not interested in knocking you on the head and taking your damn bag. Are you kidding me? I didn't see you double clutching a white dude walked in. All right, I go to a drugstore, and you get somebody following you. And my son one of my sons said he had a dude follow him, so he went up the aisle, came around and circled him, and he went, "Hey, Bill, how are you? Good to see you again. How are you?" Embarrassed the crap out of the guy. The guy's like, and that ended that little interlude. So, we get the side eye. Hell, I get the side eyes walking into Major League Baseball places right now.
George Floyd, this isn't the first. This is the umpteenth time that it's happened. But to me, at least, this feels different. And maybe it's because, as Bob mentioned, that video that surfaced. Dave, is there hope for our society to take a step towards equality?
I think it is. I hope it is. I think, again, going back to a point that somebody made earlier, that when you look at these marches and take away the idiots who are looting, some of the young white kids on skateboards and even the black and Hispanic, there's a small percentage. I mean, most of the protesters are good, upstanding people, and they have a big problem with what has happened, and they're coming out on the street. But the fact that the support has been maybe close to overwhelming support from white people. I mean, stuff I've seen on social media. Hey, if you're some racist, S-bag, get off of my feed. These are white people testifying, young white kids, middle-aged white people testifying that was wrong. We got to change. And I think the fact that has struck such a nerve when you see people marching in Amsterdam, when you see people in Berlin going, Black Lives Matter. In freaking Berlin, are you kidding me? Madrid, down in South Africa. This has struck an unbelievable freaking nerve, man. And people are angry with this. Their sense of fairness has absolutely been, just like totally out of kilter and out of tune. With that, hopefully nobody else gets killed, but there's got to be some education going on, police accountability. They can't be stereotyping anybody that doesn't look like them. You can't come in with well-heeled biases. if those kind of people, get them out. And and for the good cops, God bless them, and hopefully we can pay them some more, and they get more gratitude and more thanks for what they do. It's a difficult job, there's no question about it, but they got to get the dirtbags out of there. They really do.
And so, Joel, the answer to your question from my perspective, and I think I am that eternal optimist. Mm-hmm. I will never stop believing in people, and you want to believe in people, and that gives me, I think, the audacity to hope and dream that change will continue to occur. I work in a museum that is all about change, that is all about creating and perpetuating progress. So it would be almost impossible for me not to embody that spirit. That being said, we know that there has to be some systematic changes. And the final message that I shared with the young folks yesterday is channel this energy, go to the polls, and vote like your life is depending on it.
Because it is.
Because life is depending on it. And the lives of others are depending on it. Because we've got to get those who are in positions of power and authority in place that can initiate the kinds of rules and regulations to govern. And you're right. There are so many great police officers. This is a tough job. Mm-hmm. We all know that. And we all appreciate that. We want to feel safe. We want to feel secure in our own homes. And there are so many great police officers who do their job with pride and dignity. But what Dave references, we've got to get those guys who are in there, who bring in these rooted biases against others who don't look like them. We got to get them out of there. And not only when they perpetrate a crime, they have to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And if you want to stop some of this stuff, we've seen time and time again where these incidents occur and they essentially can hide behind the shield, mm-hmm. and they get immunity from these situations. And all that does is feed the distrust that was already in place within the community. And that's why you get this movement about Black Lives Matter. It's not to say that all lives don't matter, but this ain't happening to everybody else. Every life is absolutely valued and important. But we're not seeing these things happen in communities outside of those that are Black and brown in our society.
What can I do? What can my family do? What can others do to kind of help affect this change? Yeah, voting's one thing and so on and so forth. But there seems like there could be, I almost feel like there's more out there to be done across the board. And that's why I posed the question to you, and I posed that question to the both of you once again before we wrap things up.
Well, you can get out and volunteer. You can mentor kids. There's a lot of groups. There's a lot of kids out there who are orphans or what have you, but there's a lot of kids in need. And there's organizations that work with those people. I think, Joel, you mentioned something about Big Brother. That those agencies like that do a fabulous job. And just the other thing is just, hey, so I tell young kids, aspiring broadcasters, I said, hey man, the golden rule is always in effect. So I mean, you keep that in mind, and everything that you do in life, and as you continue to network and meet people and get this message out. I mean, a lot of people, as we go about our daily lives, we're an example of how things should be done, and that can carry over as well. And if you can influence young kids in our business, outside our business, in our community, church, synagogue, whatever, that's what has to be done.
Working in a museum that is about race and sports, race is still one of the most difficult things in our society to talk about. And I think sometimes when we don't talk about it, it gives people that belief that it's not happening. Well, we all know that it is happening. These conversations have to continue. Even again, if others kind of look a little side-eyed because we're still having the conversation. But your utilization of your voice, your utilization of your platform, what you guys are doing is so significant, so that we can hopefully bring others into the fold to start having these needed conversations in and around race in our society. The more we learn about each other, the easier it is for us to get along with one another. And what we find is that we have far more in common than we do differences. But our differences are not things that we should be running from. We should be embracing them. Those are the things that make us unique. But in our country, we have a tendency to run from those who don't look like me, don't act like me, don't talk like me, don't go to the same church as me. And if you don't do that, you must be bad. No, you're just different. And that's okay. We are a nation of people, a multiplicity of ethnicities. And it's okay to be different. And we have to evolve to the point where we're not fearful of those who are different than us.
I just celebrated I won't put the number on it, but it was my anniversary of my first job in the business at the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'll say it, 1973. And this is maybe one or second or third time having a conversation like this. So it's incumbent upon guys of our generation to get this done, baby, because we got to leave a good foundation for the next group that comes along. And the greatest generation did a lot of fabulous things. There's no question about it. But talking about this stuff straight up like this, that wasn't one of them.
And you hear me reference Buckle Neal all the time because, the wisdom that he imparted was just amazing. And he would oftentimes say that, again, people will do bad things and good people will fix them. And the good people are in a situation right now where they can start this path of fixing some of these social ills in our society.